Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us for our bi-weekly guided meditation and Dharma talk here at the Blue Lotus Meditation and Mindfulness Center here in Brainerd, Minnesota. We had an auditory issue a few moments ago, so thank you for jumping back. So today is March 4th, 2024. And tonight's Dharma talk will be on how the Dharma supports minimalism. Minimalism is not being overly excessive with our ownings, our possessions, and certainly not allowing consumerism to overtake our lives and manifest a continuous cycle of just purchasing and disposing of items that we don't need or that we no longer use, and therefore filling up landfills and harming our environment. And so when we incorporate minimalism into our daily lives, it helps support the Dharma. It helps make our understanding of the Dharma more rich, and it makes our lives more mindful. Before we begin, I do want to just say thank you all as well we've reached over 100,000 followers, almost 110,000 now, I think. And we received our Silver Play Award from YouTube, and just boundless gratitude for all of the support and the positive comments and knowing that we've helped and we are continuing to help so many different people with their mindfulness practice and their studying of Buddhism and mindfulness. So thank you. And so tomorrow is also Founders Day, right? March 5th. Every year we celebrate Founders Day. And it's a time for us to reflect, right, on the good that you are doing and our organization, our temple here, promoting mindfulness and well-being throughout the world. So thank you for all of those warm wishes as well. Our Dharma Institute, right? We have our many wonderful classes, and we've added some new classes as well, a mindfulness parenting class and a introduction to mindfulness as well. So if you haven't had the opportunity to peruse our Dharma Institute, go ahead and take a look. You'll find some wonderful classes that we've added. Our youth loop, or Young Lotus youth group is available as well, for 10th or 6th grade all the way up to 12th grade for students interested in practicing mindfulness with their peers. If you are interested in becoming a youth group leader, certainly reach out to us as well, and we'll get you started with what you need to, as well as our free weekly sanghas all throughout the week. We offer so many opportunities for our practitioners to get together, and it's all virtual, right? So you can join via Skype. And we have our healing sangha, our veteran sangha, new beginning sangha, our rainbow sangha, a welcoming sangha, and a teen sangha. We've also opened up our calendar or added all of our events for the summer coming up: mindfulness walking, our teen retreat, as well as our silent and regular main meditation retreats as well. You can find all of this on our calendar as well. So feel free to check it out. And so before we begin, let's begin with the 3 jewels of Buddhism. And then we'll begin with go right into the guided meditation. So the 3 jewels I take refuge in the Buddha. I take refuge in the Dharma. I take refuge in the Sangha. Very nice. So again, tonight's topic will be on how the Dharma supports minimalism. And so that takes us right into our guided meditation of mindful purchasing. Right? We all have to purchase, whether it's food or clothing, perhaps even a new car at times. So it's important to understand that where do these items come from and our relationship to them and why we are making those purchases. And so let's begin with our nice guided meditation. And so let's begin by taking a moment to settle our bodies into a nice, comfortable position. You may close your eyes or keep them slightly open with a soft focus, looking downward a few feet in front of you. Breathe in. Pause. And breathe out. And as you sit there, you're invited to allow a half smile to rest on your face as well. Allow your spine to lift and your shoulders to soften. And soften your belly as you continue settling in. Breathe in. Pause. And breathe out. And let's contemplate and meditate on making mindful purchases. And we all need to purchase items from time to time. But it's very important to remember that there are no purchases that lead to long-lasting happiness. So when we do make a purchase, let's consider the following mindful aspects. Do you truly need this item, or is it an impulse buy? How long will this item last? Is this item a single-use item? Or is it suitable for many uses? Do I have to consider future maintenance of this item? Is this purchase for ego? Is it a name brand item just for showing off? Breathe in. Pause. And breathe out. How does this purchase better your spiritual path? What will you get rid of at home to balance this purchase? Was it sustainably produced? What is the packaging like on this item? Again, it's very important to remember that there are no purchases that lead to long-lasting happiness. And no one is saying that you can't own nice things. Just be sure these items don't own you, and that the path to liberation requires balance. Go ahead and open your eyes and reorientate yourself before you move around. And thank you. So it's true. It's absolutely true. We all need to buy things, to purchase items from time to time. Things break. Food needs to be bought. It doesn't last forever. Clothing may become unmendable. Cars may break down, unfixable. So we do. It is important for us to purchase items from time to time. But when we consider minimalism, right, it's important to consider what minimalism is when we do these purchases. But what is minimalism? We hear about that very often. Is it living very sparsely, very Spartan, with nothing? No, it's the opposite of wanton consumerism, though, right? All that big consumerism out there, just trying to keep up with the Joneses. It's a saying here, but trying to keep up with your neighbors with what they have, or a feeling that a luxury or name brand item, is a sign of status, a symbol of status. So it's the opposite of consumerism. It's living balanced, living not necessarily day to day. You can certainly have items that last longer than a day, right? That's good security as well. We have to feel safe. But it's balanced living, right? One of the important tenets of Buddhism is impermanence. Things don't last, right? So we have to be willing to let them go when they need to. And that includes items. It's not hoarding. Right? It's not hoarding those items until, forever. Right? Perhaps, you may pass before those items do. That's a realistic scenario at times. But what does the Dharma say about minimalism? It doesn't specifically describe it, right? Nowhere in the text or the various texts is the word minimalism represented, right, or stated. But we can get a good sense of how Buddhism promotes minimalism. When we think about what the Buddha taught, the middle way, right? The middle way, not on the very extravagant side, but not on the Spartan or the bare bones side either. We can be in the middle. Like I stated in the guided meditation, we can have nice things, but we have to make sure that those nice things don't own us. We have to make sure that we are not living just to keep the car running, right? We're living to buy new shoes all the time. And we can even look a little bit more deeply into the three poisons. Right? Remember the three poisons? We've talked about them before. One of them is greed. Right? Greed. Greed is a poison that it's just a vicious cycle. Right? Always having to have more, not sharing, being stingy perhaps with some goods or services that we may be able to offer. And so greed leads to suffering, right? Because we're always trying to continually accumulate and hoard. And then we have to worry about it. Is somebody going to take something of mine? Or maybe if I give it all away, I won't have enough for me. Right? So we can be very stingy, right? That greediness. And that can lead to suffering. Always looking around the corner. Right? Always worried about who's going to perhaps, take what you've worked hard for, right? Knowing that everything has its place. And so we can look at some of the steps on the Eightfold Path that certainly lend to promoting minimalism as well. Right action, right? And right mindfulness. So let's consider right action and right mindfulness. And again, it's very important to remember that, there are no purchases ever that lead to long-lasting happiness. Right? Happiness is impermanent, and so is suffering. Right? So it's that balance, that middle road. And so it's important for us when we do have to buy something, right? Think about it. Do you truly need it? Right? Or is this an impulse buy? Right? Maybe you saw somebody with a flashy piece of jewelry or latest electronic item or something on the television, right? It's very easy to just buy something instantaneously, just right on our cell phones. Jump right to any number of platforms out there, immediately buy something. So really thinking about it, do we truly need that item, or is it an impulse item? And then how long will that item last? Right? Certainly food, is a grocery item, more specifically, may last for a little bit of time, depending on how much you buy. But what about a restaurant? Right? Is it just to go to a flashy restaurant to say that you've been there? So thinking about how long that item will last. Certainly if it's a birthday or wonderful day of celebration with you and loved ones and dear friends, sure, right? Remember, it's the middle way, right? You don't have to be Spartan about everything. And so, or if it's a pair of, if it's a tuxedo, maybe you're buying a tuxedo, maybe you're better off renting it, right? You may have to just wear it once and it's just going to end up in a closet. So you spend all that effort trying to find it. So is it single use or is it many uses? Does the item require maintenance? It's an important one. Sometimes we may buy an expensive vehicle, perhaps, but it requires a lot of maintenance, a lot of time, a lot of effort. Maybe it needs to go to a specific dealer. I don't know, right? To get something worked on. And so that can lead to suffering as well, right? Because perhaps it takes time out of your day or week, perhaps, to take that vehicle to the shop, and then you don't get to spend that time with your families, right? Or that money that you work so hard for can be put to better use. And then there's this purchase for ego, right? Many name brands out there. Sometimes we buy something just to say we have it, and it may end up in the back of your closet someplace. It may cost you, several $100s or several $1,000, and you only use it once, right? And things just accumulate. It's that accumulation, right? That's the greediness, that one of the poisons, right? Just an accumulation of items. And all that clutter brings about dissatisfaction. Think about when you open your closet and if it's filled with items, you don't even have any more hanger space. How do you feel? And so when you make that purchase, another consideration, how does this item affect positively your spiritual path or your spiritual health? It's an important one. How does it promote your well-being? Because again, if it's an expensive designer clothing item and it's sitting in the back of your closet that you're not able to use, and you have rent coming up, that doesn't help you. Whether it's a fancy tie or a fancy dress or purse or shoes or whatnot, tuxedo. How does that help you if you're not able to utilize it? It just takes up space. Clutterness brings about dissatisfaction. And so oftentimes when we do buy something, maybe we need to get rid of something to keep a balance. Remember, it's the middle path, right? The middle path that we are interested in, right? And so when we buy something, do we let something go? Right? Do we let something go? Remember, not accumulating too many items brings about clutter. Brings about worry. Brings about unnecessary contemplation. And certainly in these modern times, something else to consider when we make a purchase: how was it produced? Right? Was it produced sustainably? Does it come from a sustainable source? Are you buying something repurposed? Right? It's an important consideration. Buying a repurposed item is good, right? Makes us feel good too. Or maybe if it is a new item, think about the packaging. A lot of plastic, a lot of cardboard, even though cardboard is recyclable. Do we need all that extra cardboard? Thinking about the packaging that goes into various items. Maybe minimal packaging is a good way to help support minimalism as well. And again, it's really important to remember, I mentioned this in the beginning, but again, it's important to remember that there are no purchases that anyone can ever make that leads to long-lasting happiness. Right? Those shoes you buy, you're happy when you wear them, a couple times, then maybe you feel a little dissatisfied. Oh, I've worn these, 6 or 7 times or whatever it is, and go out and buy a new pair. Right? So there are no purchases that lead to long-lasting happiness. It's a social construct that is perpetuated, that you need to buy more to feel happy. But happiness comes from here, right? It comes from your heart. It comes from your mindset, knowing that you have fresh air to breathe, clean water to drink, shelter, food to eat. So the Dharma does support minimalism, right? Or at the very least, or most, it doesn't promote excessive consumerism. Too many things make for dissatisfied people. And in this day and age, there's a lot of dissatisfaction out there. And think about when your mind is cluttered. For example, even though this is, talking about items, but think about when your mind is cluttered. It's not happy. A lot of things going on. The same thing goes for a minimalist life, right? When we have a nice clean space, we're able to focus more intently, able to keep that balance within our mindsets. I'd be interested in knowing what you think, right? How the Dharma does not support minimalism, or maybe how it does. I'd be interested in knowing. It's a wonderful topic for discussion. So as you listen to this and think about it, please put it into the comments. Love to respond and love to communicate with every single one of you. With that, my friends, it looks like time is up for now. Our next talk will be on March 18th, so 2 weeks. And we will end off with the 3 jewels as well. I take refuge in the Buddha. I take refuge in the Dharma. And I take refuge in the Sangha. Sathu, Sathu, Sathu. And with that, my friends, I wish you all a wonderful evening of peace, ease, and well-being. And we will see you back again on March 18th.